Welcome out to the show tonight, guys. This is Studio 321. This is your podcast host, Eddie B. Boom. So listen, what if Trump is right about everything that he says? That's the question we're going to answer tonight. And I got a bunch of stuff, so stick with me. But first, listen, please hit the like button and hit the subscription button, the subscribe button to my channel. It really helps spread the word, helps spread the algorithm for my channel. And get, like-minded people, man, we got to spread the word and stick together. So hit that subscribe button, and every time I do a new video, it'll pop up in your feed on YouTube. But thanks, guys. But listen, so here we go. What if Trump is right about everything, okay? Think about this for a minute. What happens if Trump is right about the tariffs and the trade situation and how, putting these tariffs on will bring everybody to the table, realign the world, because this isn't a small thing. Like there's been nothing done like this in my lifetime. Presidents have made little moves and stuff, but there's been nothing this big in my lifetime, and I don't think very many people alive today have seen anything this big. I guess you could compare it to when Reagan collapsed the Soviet Union. But I don't know, man. This is. I think this is bigger. It's multi-dimensional is what he's doing. But anyways, if he's right, what happens? Okay, so number one, what happens to the economy if he's right? Well, I think that's pretty obvious. Everything will go sky high, right? The stock market's down right now. Obviously, I have money in the stock market. I know it's down. I'm not sweating that. I know it's going to go back up, and it's already started going back up. But if he gets all this stuff realigned, okay, everybody comes back to the table, we make all these trade deals, it doesn't start any war, then what's going to happen is, number one, our markets are going to go through the roof, okay? So if you own stock, you're going to be loving it. Number two, 401ks are going to go through the roof. Everybody's going to be loving that because, that's your retirement, right? He's also working on oil prices, which will bring gas down, which it's already doing. And then, of course, lowering inflation brings food prices down, and that really inflation brings everything down. And then lastly, you got the interest rates. House buying interest rates right now are ridiculous. You can't get loans because nobody wants to pay 6.5% on a loan. It's robbery. So nobody's really buying much right now, okay? And we get that down. So think about all that stuff together, right? Mortgage rates are down, food down, you get gas down, and then all of a sudden the fair trade all comes into play, and boom, man, we are rocking. I mean, that's an economy that would be insane. But here's the problem, right? The left, the rhinos, and the media, they can't afford for that to happen. And they don't want that to happen. Trust me when I tell you. You like to think that we're all patriots, and even though they're fighting, him and the media fight, and him and the Dems fight, you'd like to think that they would still be cheering for America, but they're actually not. Okay? And you can tell that the Democrat Party has gotten so wacky that they're actually anti-America now. They don't want Trump to succeed. They do not want America to have the economy that Trump is working for. Because if we get that economy, that is going to discredit everything they have ever said. And this is, again, like I said, this is not only change for the United States like I've never seen. This is change for the world. This will be a realignment of the world. A decoupling from China, maybe a coupling up to India, which I talked about on my last podcast. I believe that's the way that's going. I think China's going to end up taking a back seat in trade. I think we're going to try to work more with India than China because India is so dirty with their trade. But that's another show. That was actually my last show that I did. So if you haven't seen that, go back and watch it. It's pretty interesting. It'll tell you a lot of stuff. But getting back to this, so if Trump is right, think about it. The left, the rhinos, and look, some of you might not know what rhino means, but that it actually stands for Republican in name only. It's like a fake Republican, right? They're basically Democrats that they're in the Republican Party, but they're wishy-washy, like a Susan Collins or a Lisa Murkowski. They're always voting with the Democrats. They're basically rhinos. That's what we call a rhino, okay? The left, the rhinos, and the media, they cannot afford for him to be right about this, because then America's going to be looking at them like, you're wrong about everything. So why would we listen to you? It hurts their legacy. It hurts their credibility. And think about this. That's not a short-term situation. After Ronald Reagan's presidency was over, everybody compared everybody to Ronald Reagan. How are you going to be compared to Reagan? They still do that nowadays. Because he was a great president. Now, he was attacked viciously by the left at the time of his presidency. But when it was all over, then they all praised him, right? So what I see happening, in this situation is, Trump's he's gonna get this economy where it wants to go. They're gonna fight the entire time. Everything he does is terrible. They're gonna keep covering it up. It's kind of like during his first presidency, man. Everything he did that was good, they tried to cover it up and make it look bad somehow. They didn't want to talk about it or whatever. It's going to be the same thing over and over again. But in the end, if he gets all this stuff done that he's working on, you're not going to be able to hide it. Everyday people are going to be doing great. Because with low gas prices, low inflation, the tax breaks, I mean, come on. Like that's for people like us. So, you're not going to be able to hide the accomplishments. I don't care what you say on TV. And the truth is nobody's really listening to regular news much anymore anyways. They're not. They get their stuff off the internet, podcasts. That's why I got into podcasting, because I felt like, I try to get the word out the best that I can. Not that I'm ever going to be big or anything like that, but I do the best I can to get the word out to people and network that way so that they can get some of the truth. But yeah, so this is a world-shifting realignment. Okay, it really is. It's not a small thing. We're living through something that's going to be talked about in 100 years if he pulls it off. Now, if he fails, it will ruin his legacy. And then he won't, he'll go off into the, into retirement with a shattered legacy. And that's what they want. That's what they want, because you have to understand, there's people in our government, the academic class, the media, they've been there for 30 years talking about the same old bull, okay? The way that we should do it, the way that we should do it. And Trump comes in there and goes, nah, you guys are all foolish. We're going to do it my way. And so they all obviously get upset about it, right? And they attack him. And that's why he's constantly under attack. But when he proves his system right, that proves all of them wrong. And those people can't handle that. That'd be like working a job for 30 years and at the end of it, somebody telling you sucked at your job. You'd be like, man, I guess I wasted 30 years. Well, that's what he's basically doing to the whole government class. And they're not gonna take that lightly. They're just not. So as much as the media has already discredited themselves, it'll be way worse. It'll be the end, okay, for them. Now, if the Dems can't afford for him to be right, what do they need to happen? Okay, well, they need for all this to blow up in his face, for our economy to tank, and so they can run and say, oh, we told you so, because you got to think about something. The media is already coupled with the Democrat Party anyways, so they would love for nothing more. And look, this goes for both sides. When the other side screws up, it's like winning the lottery for the other side, right? Because you just sit there and you don't even have to campaign. You just point your finger at the other side and you go, well, look how terrible they are. And immediately you get elected to fix the problem. Truthfully, that's why Donald Trump got reelected, because he could just point his finger at Joe Biden and go, look at these people. They're terrible, right? And everybody goes, yeah. So then they vote for Trump. Well, that's what the Democrats want to happen to Trump right now. Okay, they want them to fail miserably so they can just point the finger because they don't have any good candidates. They've got a bunch of weak candidates, so they're going to have trouble winning anyways. So they would love to be able to just point the finger and go, "Oh, look at that guy. He's terrible. You know, we're the right choice. We'll fix the problems." And then, of course, they get reelected because this is something I've learned over my short time really being focused in and zeroed in on politics. These people don't care about the country, man. They don't. It's really sad to say. And this is going to sound real partisan. The reason the Republicans care about the country is because they have a lot of patriots. And you can see that they're proud of the flag. They're really in tune with America, America first ideas. Just they're patriots. A lot of them are ex-military. The Democrats don't really have that on their side. The Democrats have a lot of, people from other countries, a lot of just American-hating liberals, and so they don't love our country. They don't, and they want that failure. They would love for that failure to happen, just because they hate Trump so much and they want power back, because the only America that they love is the one that they control, and that's a fact, I remember when Michelle Obama said something like that when when Barack got elected to presidency. She said one of her first things was, she said, "For the first time in my life, I feel like I could be proud to be an American." And I was like looking at her like, what? Like you're a piece of crap, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was just something that stuck out in my head when from back in the day. But it's true, man. We're in a situation where we can correct right now the problems for 30 to 40 years that we've been facing. We can correct them right now. Not completely in one term, but get it in the right direction so the next president can really just run with the ball and finish it off very easily. Because the groundwork will be laid, right? The tracks will be laid. All you got to do is roll across them, the next president. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I'm telling you, man, that's a big question. If Trump is right, what will happen if Trump is right about everything? And we will be massively successful in this country. Everything will get better for everybody. But like I said, the rhinos, the media, the Democrats, the liberals, they can't have that, man. They do not want that. And you can see it in every interview. They're seething. They want something to be wrong so bad, and it's not just to get Trump. They want the power back. Okay. They failed miserably the last 4 years, but they somehow think that by getting the power back that they're going to somehow be able to fix the problems that they created, which, that never works out. But anyways, guys, please like and subscribe to my video. I hope you like what I was putting out tonight. Look, we got to stick together. Like I'm always saying, it's networking. You got to get the word out. The media is not going to do it. We have to do it. Spread it from person to person. Tell people about my show, and we'll do it that way, man. It's grassroots. But anyways, guys, I'll talk to you soon. This is Eddie from Studio 321. Have a good night.